I'm always caught having a drink. Welcome, replay viewers. If you wish to skip the first few minutes of introduction and go straight to today's topic, feel free. Today's topic is why you, as an intuitive, don't know where you begin and where someone else ends, and how that plays havoc with your life, and how to turn that around and have better relationships. How does that sound? So welcome, peeps. Nice to see a few people joining live. And welcome to the second ever episode of the Transformational Truth of Tarot TV. What a mouthful. My name is Tiffany Cressara. It's lovely to have you here. For those of you that don't know me, I am an inner transformation specialist, and I work with intuitives that have lost themselves. I help them find their passion and their purpose and be able to live the partnerships that they wanted to when they began when they first began even the spiritual path. Okay, so we're going to crack on with the topic today, which is why you as intuitives don't know where you begin and others end. I can see lots of people joining. Hi, I'm just going to go to the comments. If you want to remain anonymous, don't actually bother registering with StreamYard. That's fine. You can remain anonymous. Hey, Julia, good to see you. I do encourage you either way to interact with me because I stand for connecting you. So the more that you connect with me, the more that I can help you connect to you, yourself, the universe, your relationships, your purpose, your passion. So let's practice that now, because as intuitives, that's really what we're all about, but somehow it gets a little bit wonky around the way of it all. So that's what I'm here to help you do today. Today we're going to do three things in particular. Number one, I'm going to explain why you as an intuitive do find it hard to know where you end and where someone else begins. Number two, and if you've seen my Facebook post, you'll know why I'm laughing. I changed today's agenda a little bit. The drama diffusing questions will still happen, but next Friday. So what we've got instead is how to know if you are a tight ass or a shit ass. Yeah, okay. So stick with me on that one. All will be explained. And number three, we're going to look at a way to help you identify when you may be getting into that space of like actually taking on other people's stuff, and how to improve it with a transformative tarot exercise. So let me just tell you a little bit what I mean by transformative tarot. There are two ways of doing tarot. One of them embeds out tuition. Now that's my work as well, is on out tuition, which is about tuning out of yourself and into someone else. I'm here to reverse that. So I use transformative tarot, okay, to actually tune you into what's going on inside of you, intuition, and that's where, boom, we face the truth. Boom, the transformation happens, and through the tarot. So it's incredibly powerful stuff. Hi, Anne, and hi, somebody else who's not registered with StreamYard, but if you want to stay anonymous, that's fine. Good to see you here. So yeah, probably about 20 minutes we'll be here. You don't need tarot. You do need an open mind, and especially with the tight ass, shit ass part, and just the willingness to use your eyes, use your ears, and use your noggin, all right? And we'll get some really good tips going on for you to help you reverse out tuition and start firing up your purpose, your passion, your partnerships. Let's get on with it. Okay, so why do you feel everything personally as an intuitive? Hey, Leslie, good to see you here. Let's go there in a minute, but I just want to say, if you know someone that suffers as an intuitive because they are definitely picking up on other people's stuff. They take things personally. They've got problems with boundaries, knowing their needs or wants, or anything along those lines. Then be a darling, please, and tag them or share this. Let them know about it, because they're going to be very pleased that you did, because I'm about to share 10 reasons why that is happening. We're going to get really laser clear on it. And then I'm going to dig down even deeper into one particular aspect of it, which is to do with the tight ass, shit ass bit. And then we're going to do something to do with the 4 agreements and transformative tarot. If you have tarot, great, but if you don't, that's fine. So please do just know if there's someone that's struggling with that stuff, share this or tag them. Okay, I am going live every Wednesday and every Friday for the foreseeable future. And that's about the only prediction you'll find me making. Okay, so let's move on. All right, so share screen. I need to share screen with you so that you can see these reasons why, as an intuitive, you are finding it hard to, let me go back to screen 1, sorry. You are finding it hard to actually maybe do relationships, for instance, or be connected to yourself. And as Socrates said, that is the most important thing in the world, right? The most important thing to do with our life. And if we don't know how to do that, we're pretty stuffed. Okay, so this is why intuition isn't always the gift that it is cracked up to be. Yes, there is a gift in it, absolutely. And there's also a curse. It's like any gift. It's like when we don't know how to apply it, when we don't know how to channel it properly, it can cause havoc. It's like anything powerful, like Facebook. It can be used really well and effectively, or it can be a real not so great thing in the world. And we want it to be a great thing, don't we? Because when intuitives are actually tuned into themselves, that the whole world can heal. But it has to start with us. It has to start now. It's a really important time, more important than maybe ever in our history, to be getting this work going forward. So here we go. This here is my workbook, the 10 transformational truths and symptoms of using your intuition as outtuition. I touched on this a little bit on Wednesday's live and spoke about, as intuitives, we're trained as children to be tuned into our caregivers' needs over what's going on with us. And that means we end up tuning into absolutely everything outside of ourselves, though. That is what outtuition is, okay? And as you grow, these symptoms grow with you. Number 1, over-emotional misunderstandings. And we looked a little bit at that on Wednesday, but if you're feeling other people's stuff, oh my God, you can't cope with somebody else's pain because it's not yours to cope with, okay? So it becomes like this crazy dramatic situation. And you know, as I'm going through this, rate yourself. I'd love to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, where you feel you're at currently, today, with these symptoms. So you would just put 1 and then put a number from 1 to 10 next to it, 10 being I'm right up there today, 1 being nah, I'm all good, okay? Number 2, feeling everything personally. We've just spoken about that, and that is really our topic for today. Number 3 is struggle to know your own reality, because if you're not knowing what is yours and what is somebody else's, then how can you know what's real? What's your reality? What's your truth of who you are? Number 4, making assumptions that cause drama. Number 5, remember, rate yourself. I'd love to see things. I've asked you to be interactive. I will make time for that at the end as well. So number 5 is over trying, overdoing, and overwhelm. Okay. So where are you with that? I have a feeling a few of you are at 10 with that currently. Do let me know in the chat box. After I've run through these, I'm going to come back and look at the chat box. Number 6, not knowing or mixing up your wants and needs. Number 7, can't express yourself until it's too late because you didn't know what your needs or your wants were, right? So then it comes out in an over-dramatic meltdown, which means that you don't get it either, all right? So all of these are problems with being able to receive, really, okay? And then number 8, bouncing from no boundaries to big barriers. We're going to do a bit on boundaries today because really, as an intuitive, this is what it comes down to. The fact that you're tuning out of yourself and into someone else means your very nature is to transgress boundaries. You've been trained to do that as a child. And so, you know, we have problems with boundaries. Okay, so we're going to work on that a bit today as well. Number 9, feeling like you don't belong anywhere. It's almost like by belonging everywhere, you belong nowhere. You just don't fit in anywhere. So where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10 there? Please put it in the chat box. And number 10, struggle to obtain healthy self-esteem, which is basically what all of these come down to. Okay, so I'm just going to come back to you now. Now you're seeing my messy screen. Hello. I'm going to run through a few comments with you now, and then we're going to look at why you are either a tight ass or a shit ass, because that's to do with boundaries, okay, and how to actually rectify that so your relationships get on track. Okay, woo, lovely to see a lot of you here. Hello, Rihanna, nice to see you again. And Kirsten, hello. Awesome. So Julia is saying 8 on 8, she's at a 9, which is feeling other people's stuff and global energies, which manifests as anxiety. That's a big one, isn't it? Particularly at the moment. Yes. So any question you have around that, Julia, please do ask. If you formulate it into a question for me, I'll be able to help you. I'll be able to get the clarity and the download to help you. And that goes for everybody here on the live today. Okay. Kirsten is saying, I just literally went through a big reframe on how I deal with other people's pain and issues, and I turned around the overwhelm. So on a 1, I am doing really well up there. So I'm unclear, is 10 high or low on the scale? Okay, so just to clarify, 10 is maximum. It's it's a big problem. 1 is it's not a big problem. Okay. Thank you, those that are just joining. I'm just going into how to figure out whether you are a tight ass or a shit ass and what to do about that. So I'm just finishing off the comments here. All right, brilliant. I think we're done here. Boundaries and over emotional. Someone's recognizing themselves as that. Okay. So, as I said, the key to this is that if you are an intuitive, you have been trained to be so by your childhood. And I don't mean your parents sent you off to Hogwarts. I mean your parents actually were like, you better be tuned into what we need first and foremost. That's what I mean. And I have a word for that in particular, and that word is outuitive. So in other words, you're not using your intuition to tune into yourself. So therefore, you're not really using intuition at all. Big bombshell, epiphany, Tiffany moment. You're actually using outuition. And if you're using outuition, you will have problems with self-worth, boundaries, lots of drama and assumptions, relationships, and basically being able to receive what your wants and what your needs are, or even know what they are. And so this is what the Transformational Truth of Tarot TV is about. This is what my work is about. It's about helping you to come out of outuition and come into intuition with Transformative Tarot, which helps you tune back into yourself. It's not predictive tarot, that is outuition, where you are basically saying, I want to know what is going to happen to me from the external world, right? It's a prediction. So what I do is Transformative Tarot. I help you rewire that outuition so you can start to have the purpose, the passion, and the partnerships that you wanted when you first began the spiritual path, okay, but just aren't getting. This is why you aren't getting it. All right, okay, so now we've clarified and summarized that. let's go into the tight ass, shit ass moment. So for that, I probably need to pick up a little bit on the story that I told you on Wednesday, or I started to tell you on the Wednesday, where I spoke a little bit about my own childhood. I'm not going to go back into it. See the live if you want to know. See the first episode of the Transformational Truth of Tarot TV. But I was trained that way as a child so well that actually I became a professional psychic, highly paid, highly regarded, highly awarded. Went on TV, live TV, wrote books, things along those lines. And I always felt really wrong. Like, my message was always about transformational tarot, which is why my first book was called The Transformational Truth of Tarot. But the way the world was seeing tarot was very different to me. It was outtuition. It wasn't intuition. And I didn't know what to do about it, because it felt like I was against the whole world. And it's only now, really, that I actually started to work out what is actually going on and how to convey that to you, how to have the words and the structure and the framework to convey that to you. I had successful clients all the way through this time, having the transformation, even though I didn't understand it myself. I asked the universe to help me understand it. And like Julia is saying about tuning into collective energies, on the day of the first vote of Brexit, I had a complete breakdown and left my marriage, my stepdaughter, my home, my car, my cat, everything, and just got on a plane and wandered the world crying for a whole year, because I'd been saturated without tuition for about 40 years, big time. So that's where I got to. And I didn't tell you that I actually managed to transform that. I actually managed to come back and work through the issues, because I actually got information from different places. And what actually was the thing was, there wasn't an intuitive anonymous anywhere. There was like bits of me that I could recognize in different models, but there was no one that really understood what I, as an intuitive, was going through. So I really had to work up understanding and being able to put that into a framework for you guys to understand. Now, I came across a few people during that time that really have formed the basis of this message. And one of them was Pia Melody. Some of you might have heard of her, but she's not massively well known. Even though her book is really well known, Facing Codependence, her name isn't really that well known. Pia Melody put it in a nutshell. And that nutshell is to do with, are you a tight ass or a shit ass? So if you are intuitive, you are having issues with boundaries, because that's why you're picking up all of this stuff, right? So you are a tight ass or a shit ass. You're probably likely to be I used to be more of a shit ass. Now I'm more of a tight ass, and you can oscillate between the two. So basically, boundaries are internal and external. You need an internal set. Okay, so you don't put your shit on someone else. If you don't have that, you're a shit ass, basically. Okay, and then you have an external set, which is it stops people putting their shit on you. Okay, so boundaries are a dual thing, and you're either going to kind of resonate more towards the shit ass end, which is what I was, or the tight ass end, where you don't let anybody in. Both of those are dysfunctional. So it's not like, oh, I've got crap boundaries and I've got to shut the world out. No, that's like you going to the other extreme. Both will mean that you are unable to actually receive what you need in life. And that was a massive aha moment when I heard that. And I have great respect for any doctor that can explain it by saying you're either a tit-ass, a shit-ass, but tit-ass will do, or tight-ass. There you go. There's a tit-ass. There's a new breed. It's the person that oscillates between shit-ass and tight-ass. So I'd love to know where you think you are on that trajectory. Are you more of a shit ass or are you more of a tight ass? It was a real aha moment for me finding that I was a shit ass, because I would love to connect with people. I'd get high on the connection with people. I still do. You know, I absolutely adore it. But when I was younger, I didn't realize why people were rejecting me. I had so much rejection, and it was because I was a shit ass. In my excitement and trusting and naivety and highness and connecting with them, I'd shit all over them, my stuff. I'd just be like, blah, 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 a bit like I am now, but you've got to forgive me. This is me talking to a screen. You're not talking back to me. That's why. But if you're with me now, I won't shit over you. I promise. Yes. So it was a massive aha, because I was like, why am I so excited to be with these people and they don't want to know me? And then it was like, oh, it's because I am a shit ass. So that is number one for you to take away from this today. Really, if you take anything away from this, it's number two. There's three things to take away. The first one is that if you are intuitive, you are probably have problems with boundaries, okay? And it doesn't mean that you're going to. There's a way which is about working on recognizing intuition and coming into intuition. And the way that I help you do that is through the Transformational Truth of Tarot, right? So that's number one. Number two is, what are you? Are you a shit ass or a tight ass? And whatever one it is, you know, kind of bring it back into balance the other way a little bit more. Be aware of it. Work with that. And number three, I'm going to teach you how you can actually recognize when you might be picking somebody else's stuff up. And for those of you that do love Transformative Tarot, I will show you how you can extend that framework with Transformative Tarot to get even more insights. Okay, all right. Aha. So Leslie is saying, feeling my mum's pain so much that yeah, so that would be a 10. Yeah, absolutely. There we go. The intuition stuff is probably really resonating then. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again to show you the framework now that is going to help you know when something is yours to clean up and when something isn't yours to clean up. And if anybody has any questions also about taking things personally and why that happens, then do ask in the comments, because after I've shown you this framework, I'm going to come back and answer any questions. Okay, so just going to share screen again. Trippy, hey, woohoo. And I want to get up page 82 of this 100-page workbook that will be available to you soon. Okay, so page 82 is my stuff versus your stuff. And this is one that I did earlier. Okay. So the way that you use this is you would write down the situation. So here, for example, the situation was that I said that I felt I said something that triggered someone, okay? And how did I know? Well, I didn't know for sure. It was an assumption, right? But I could feel like their sensitivity to it. It turned out it was correct because they contacted me about it. But I didn't know for sure, and I was aware that I didn't know for sure, you know? So I wasn't saying this is exactly 100% true, but I feel like I can feel their sensitivity to it. So this is made on Don Miguel Ruiz 4 agreements, which is to speak in truth and love, not take things personally, not make assumptions, know you did your best, and I've amended it slightly for this sheet, which I will speak to you about. So the first question that I'd ask myself is, did I speak in love and truth? Okay, now that's a fine balance, like the shit arse and the tight arse. You're likely to be more truthful or more untruthful and loving. So it's like that balance of getting the truth and the love working together. Yeah. So did I speak in truth and love in that occasion? Yes, I did. And this takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of honesty. And you have to use this from a very honest place or it's not really going to work. Okay. So it takes courage to face your stuff, right? And if you lie to yourself on this worksheet, the price of that is going to be loss of relationships, either instantly or somewhere down the line. And this is your key to kind of turning that around. So number 2, did I make assumptions? I put here, no, I don't know. Even taking things personally is an assumption. So that's why I haven't put that one in there, because you're assuming that it's about you. And sometimes it can feel so personal, it feels like it is you, which is this what we're talking about now. How do I know where I end and another one begins, right? But here I put no, so I'll trust at the time that I didn't make an assumption. And did I do my best? So I put, this happened a few weeks ago, so it's foggy, but I put yes, okay. And was it my place to comment? It absolutely was. It's what they pay me for. So that's a profound yes. And so it says here in the workbook, if you answer honestly to 1, 3, and 4, and they're a yes, and no to 2, then you have nothing to make right for them, okay? Only you in letting their stuff go. It's their stuff. So this really gives you permission to check in with yourself and go, oh, actually, I'm just feeling somebody else's stuff, and that's not helpful for me or them. Enough, yes. But if any of this is like you're not sure whether you've made assumptions or done your best, then it's time to go back and rectify that with the person, right? Those of you that are into Transformative Tarot and work with me will know that you can use the tarot to help yourself go deeper here and in a different way. So you can take your tarot deck and you can actually purposely choose one, i.e. you're looking at the cards, choose one for the situation, and then choose one for how you knew, choose one for how you felt about whether you spoke in love or truth, purposely looking at them, selecting the cards. So you're choosing one for each of these number questions, and then preferably if you've got a second deck, you can give it a shuffle. If not, just use the same deck. But if you've got 2 decks, it's even more magical. You can just give it a shuffle and then turn it over and be like, put it next to the ones you chose to see your perspective and the universe's perspective. And that will give you even more mind-blowing ahas. Okay, this workbook will be with you soon. Okay, so I'm just making a whole ladder for you to go up with this, but it's not available right at this moment in time. But I wanted to share with you one of a little quick fix that you can do right now. Okay, so let's just have a look. Julia says, I've been struggling with feeling overwhelmed and unsafe at various times during lockdown. It's been happening again this week. Okay, and can you see why? Is there something that happened this week, Julia, that triggers this? I'd like you to let me know in the chat box, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, can you show number 3 again? So I'll just put it back up for you. A second. So here we go. These are the questions. The situation, how did you know? Did you speak in love and truth? Did you make assumptions? Did you do your best is number 3. And 4, was it your place to comment? And if you need it up there for longer, there's always the replay. Okay. All right. So whilst I'm waiting for the questions and the comments to come through, I also had someone private message me who said that they had a situation the other night where they really felt their ex, that it was like, their breath, everything, whilst they were in bed, I think, and it really freaked them out. And this is another thing about boundaries, because they asked me to speak on this a little bit. And especially when you're in bed, it's like when you're going to the dream world, you have that astral plane to go through and you have the lower astral plane to go through. And I've noticed, particularly if I am traumatized, if I've been upset about something, the more upset I am, the more upset I am, the more upsetting my psychicness becomes. So psychic attacks, sleep paralysis, or things that freak me out. And so whenever that happens, I now am aware enough to go, I've been actually really quite upset about something, or I'm quite traumatized about something, and I up my self-love. And it got to a point where it was so bad for me, this was happening a lot, and it was so bad that I actually said to myself, I don't deserve to upset myself like that. And I haven't since then, and I haven't had any freakiness at night. So there we go. Okay. All right. Okay. So just waiting for anything coming through from Julia. Leslie, I meant the end bit. Leslie, I don't know what you mean by the end bit, but I'll get it up on the screen one more time. But otherwise, just in case I haven't shown the end bit for the replay, otherwise, do check the replay out. Okay, so share, let's have a look. There you go. So if your answers are honest yes to 1, 3, and 4, and a no to 2, then you have nothing to make right. You only have to let their stuff go. Okay. Otherwise, it's probably a bit of an apology in order. Yeah. Okay. And number 3 here. Oh, okay. I think this is what you mean. If you didn't say or do anything but picked up on something that made you uneasy, then the answer is the same. There is nothing for you to make right for them, only in you letting yourself off the hook. That's basically just a recap on what this is, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's see. There's some new comments. Good question, Sue. Sue says, how do you up the self-love? Sorry if this sounds like a dumb question. No dumb questions at all. So how do you up the self-love? First of all, just realizing that you're not actually treating yourself with love, because if you were, you wouldn't be putting yourself through this. So maybe you can do inner child work. If you have children, maybe you could think, would you treat your child like this? If you have friends, it's like, would you treat your friends like this? Yes. And if the answer is no, then you know that you're a bit low on the self-love. Okay, for me, at that time in my life, I didn't have anybody except myself, and that was enough. It was like, oh. And the reason I had no one except myself was because of tuition. I had to wake up, I had to work out what was going on with me, and that was how I came back and saved my marriage. Obviously, it takes 2. And my family, obviously it takes 3, but actually, we managed to do it because we wanted to, and we were willing to take that long, hard look at ourselves and understand what was going on, even though we'd spent loads on counselors and therapists, and they were saying that we needed to break up because we had irreconcilable differences. I don't believe that at all. I believe that we do attract as opposites, and that actually that is part of our purpose, it's part of our evolution and part of our growth. For instance, my husband is a tight ass. I am a shit ass, right? I am more on the truth vibe. He is more on the love vibe. So what drove me crazy was that he wouldn't be truthful with me because he was way more compassionate. He wanted to show me love rather than tell me something that hurt me. But my end was like, I am being hurt because I can't trust what is reality, because this is driving me crazy as an outuitive. You know, yeah, it was nuts. And so I can understand why people were saying that, you know, our values, his top one was compassion, his bottom one was truth. It was the other way around for me. The top one was truth, the bottom one was compassion. Yeah, so I can understand why people said that, but the fundamental thing is you are attracted to people that are opposite to you, and that is for a reason. That's to be honored. Sometimes you have to get out, you know, obviously it's not safe for you to be there sometimes, but if you are in a place where both really want to look at themselves, and then, you know what, don't break up, please. Yes, come to me instead. I have a call to action somewhere. Here it is. Where is it? And I'll come back to your questions, but I just wanted to get this up now. So if you are not already working with me, then please, if you are ready to actually fire up your divine and sacred transformation and go from outuitive to intuitive and start being able to receive the love, the fulfillment that you have been craving, and you realize you can't do it on your own anymore, then I want to hear from you. Yes, let's get on a call and do this, because this is the time. It's now, as Julia was saying, in terms of like everything that's going on in the world is pretty nuts, pretty crazy. The real pandemic is a pandemic of low self-esteem. And if we can heal that in ourselves, that is when the whole world heals. And you absolutely can. And it doesn't take years of therapy like people might have you believe, or going through emotionally exhausting processes again and again and again. It can be wonderful, it can be magical, it can be full of aha moments, absolutely. And so please, if you are ready, now's the time. Just click on it. It's on the link as well. I have limited spaces. You can come through for a free chat with me, and then I can really see what's going on. What will happen is I'll take you through those 10 parts of outuition, and we'll really work out where you are. And then when we've got the clarity of where you are, we can work out a 3-step ascension plan for you to go from outuition to intuition, to be able to get those fulfilling relationships actually going on, as well as fulfilling purpose. Because, you know, if you're on that scale, you're not going to be receiving fulfillment from your relationships, from your purpose, even though you know there's something magical there for you. Yeah. And it starts with being able to say, F it, this is the time, I'm doing it now. Okay. And if you're there, click the link. Okay. So let's have a look. The self-love question. I went a bit off on a tangent, but hopefully that helps. And Julia said, I have been a shoulder to lean on, so to speak. Okay, so I think what you're saying, Julia, is that during lockdown, you have felt unsafe during times because you've been a shoulder to lean on. And this is the thing, isn't it? This is partly outuition. It's like you are there for other people, and we have the problem with taking their stuff on. So I would suggest maybe looking at the Karpman drama triangle, and there it speaks about challenger, rescuer, and victim. It sounds to me like you're falling into the rescuer role, okay? And you can change that label to coach. So if you're a rescuer, you can be a coach, okay? But the difference is that the coach says, I am willing to listen to you for this amount of time without making it my own. You might not feel comfortable with saying without making it my own, but you might want to set that boundary of like, I am willing to listen to you for this amount of time, and just to give you a listening ear, because actually I know you've got this. Boom! Can you feel the empowerment in that? Yes? Does that help? I hope so. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in live. And if you have found this super helpful, I would really find it super helpful in return if you tag anyone or share, you know, where you feel this needs to be. The name of the triangle again, Julia, is the Karpman with a K, K-A-R-P, man, M-A-N, triangle, okay? And do come through, click the link, come through if you're like, damn, yes, this is on fire, this is totally me, I really need your help, Tiff. Let's do this now. So the link is up there, and I will be back on Wednesday with, I've completely forgotten. Excuse me a minute. No, I've completely forgotten what I am back on Wednesday with, but I'm back on Wednesday with something to do with not being able to know what your reality is. Something along there. I'll post up about it anyway. Okay. Thank you, Sylvie, for sharing. I really appreciate that. All right. And also subscribe if you don't want to miss the next episode of the Transformational Truth of Tarot TV. Thank you very much for being here. And here's to using your intuition actually as intuition rather than outtuition, because that is when the whole world will really heal. It starts with you, and the buck stops here. Got that? If so, click on that link, www.tiffanycrisara.com/fire-your-intuition. Okay? Fire up. I missed the word up. Fire up your intuition. You got it. It's there on the screen. Take care. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.